This is the Shawn Campbell Show, a podcast for the aspiring and hungry entrepreneur.
Hey everybody, this is Shawn Campbell, the Shawn Campbell Podcast. This is my very first trailer. Just wanted to put this together so when you tune into the podcast, you actually know what you're going to get. What this is, it's a podcast from entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs who are inspiring people who want to maybe start their own business, or maybe you've been in business for a few years now, or a year, or 5 or 10 years, and you just need to get over the hump. This was important for me to put this together because it's something that I want to share. I want to share my journey, and I want to share all my highs and lows and all my adversities for somebody out there, or entrepreneurs out there who are just struggling, just maybe in a bad place, and maybe mentally or exhausted. Maybe it's affecting you physically, maybe it's affecting all aspects of your life, and you know you can do it, but you just need a bit of motivation, or you need a bit of some education. And this is what this podcast is really designed for. Now, this will be the only, I say this now, but this will be the only podcast with just myself. I'm going to have guests on that I've been had the pleasure to meet and work with and collaborate with, or even some of my clients are going to bring on. And I want them to share this story. It's not all going to be from me and by me and all about me. It's going to be about my guests and their stories, and what motivates them, or what keeps them on track, and what adversities they've been through. And I want to share that with you to help you, like I said, get over that, some of the barriers that may be very real barriers. Maybe they're barriers that have to do with financing. Maybe they're barriers that have to do with the economics of it all. Or maybe they're barriers that are just quite simply just mental barriers. Maybe they're barriers that involve people that, or involve the people around you. There's a saying out there that you are summary, or a product, I should say, of the 4 or 5 people that you're closest to. So who are those 4 or 5 people that you're closest to? 4 years ago, when I first started my business, the 4 or 5 people that I was closest to are pretty much nowhere around right now. The 4 or 5 people that I'm closest to are very, very different. Just a different mindset. Not to say that the people I used to hang out with are bad, scum of the earth type of people, but they're very good people. They're very hardworking. They are very what should I say? They family first type of people, friends first type of people, but they really didn't share any of my aspirations. And again, that's not saying I'm right or they're wrong, or vice versa. It's just a different mindset, different mentality. And I think that's the first step that you're going to find out if you want to begin your own venture, begin your own path to business. And I use that word path, and I'm going to explain why here in a moment. Then you need to kind of surround yourself with the right people. Again, not to say that the people you're around right now are bad and they're all going to a bad place after this life or anything like that. It's just they're not the right people for you at this present time. There are people out there that could help you and inspire you and support you on your journey. And maybe you don't want your own business. Maybe you don't want to venture out there that far. But maybe you know that you deserve more. Maybe you know that you can achieve more. Maybe you know that you're not reaching your full potential. This is the podcast for you. Just to share some of my story real quick and kind of give you a preview of what you can anticipate. Now, granted, I'm going to be the host, and again, it's not always going to be about me or my story. I'll probably sprinkle some of that in as we go, but just so you know who I am, I've been in business for 4 years last week, November 1st. Today's the 9th when I'm recording this. And 4 years ago, I was working as a social media analyst for Kia Motors America. I liked what I did. I started really enjoying a lot of the benefits of what media marketing can do for a company, and I saw firsthand what difference a good marketing strategy on your social can really do for you and your business, your brand, I should say. And I want to make this kind of a long story short, but I was up for a promotion, and anybody that I worked with is listening to this now. You're going to really get how I really felt, because I really kind of kept a lot of it, inward and told myself. But I was up for a promotion that I knew I was going to get. I should have earned. I've interviewed for promotions before. I was a part of the corporate world for a good nearly 10 years. And I know when I was going to interview for a position, the difference of when I was going to interview for it and earn a position and where I was going to interview it, and really just kind of put my name in the hat for future positions. With my background prior to Kia, I was in management, and I started to apply a lot of the skills and things that I did in my previous corporate position to what I was doing at Kia, because I didn't want to be in front of their Facebook and Twitter for 40 hours a week. I wanted to manage people. I wanted to help people grow, and I wanted to, help people promote and wanted to promote, and that's one of the things I was passionate about at that time. But when I interviewed for this position, I knew I should have got it. There's actually 6 positions open for an advancement in the department. It was a consumer affairs department, and I was one of 2 social media analysts within this department. And when I interviewed for it, I had previous to that, I had worked for several months in the department doing the audits and helping people and grading people and coaching people. So I was doing that on top of my job. This was a slam dunk as far as I was concerned, as far as whether I should have earned it or not. The day that I learned that I was in HR brought me into their office, and they said I didn't get the position, and I thought they were joking at first, and she was like, "No, you didn't get it, seriously." So I went to ask for feedback from the operations manager. He dodged out. He totally dodged out and did not want to give me feedback. He was quote unquote busy all day. And the next day he was on vacation, so I needed that feedback from the hiring manager and my direct manager. So the long story short there, whatever they said, as far as why I didn't get it, that I explained why I should have, and there was really just not much of a quote unquote debate. It was very one-sided in my favor. And then finally, the hiring manager really couldn't take it much longer. She left the office. So it was just me and my manager. And for about 45 minutes total, we're in this office. And finally, I got out of him. He was like, "Shawn, I'll never forget this. This is on this. What motivates me every day. It's just not in your path. I just don't see this in your path in this department." So really, there's one of 2 things I could have did right there. One of 2 things. First thing would have led me to jail, right? And the second thing is I got up, and this is what I did. I got up, left the room, took most of the day off, and took the next day off, and started to start my own business, applying what I was learning at Kia as a social media analyst, and really looking at what local businesses here in Tucson, Arizona do. And I saw there was a lot of opportunity for small businesses really to apply and incorporate a social media marketing strategy to what they were doing. So it was a very, very, bad moment, but I turned it into a great moment because I gave myself 6 months to that date, November 1st, which would have been, actually I gave myself to May 1st of 2016 to resign. And I resigned, using those words, use my own, create my own path, et cetera, et cetera. I emailed my manager, my manager's manager, HR, everybody within I burned every bridge. There's no turning back. I only had maybe 4 or 5 clients at the time thought I'd saved up enough money from my tax return and from, a bonus that I earned and whatnot. And that was all gone, within a couple months. But I did it. I wouldn't really suggest anybody to do it the same way I did, with all the financial responsibilities and that I had and I still have. But basically, I just kind of jumped off the edge and went forward, and that's kind of the dangers and the why a lot of people don't get into running their own business, because that's just the truth of it. You're totally 100% responsible for your income and your well-being, and whoever you are responsible, you're responsible for them as well. So, by no means am I saying this is easy. By no means am I saying that it's all happy-go-lucky, the smell of the roses and fluffy teddy bears and unicorns everywhere. But you know what? I make up my own destiny. I create my own path. And whatever my success or my failures, it's up to me. It's not up to somebody who's going to tell me that it's not, quote unquote, I don't see this in your path. There's nobody that's going to tell me that it's not in, I'm not in the right path. I get to tell myself that each and every day. And in closing of this trailer for the Shawn Campbell show, the podcast that you're going to subscribe to, thank you. Just this week, it was, I've had a phenomenal week. On the day of my anniversary, the 4th anniversary, and up until the end of this week, I was hanging out with some of the most phenomenal business owners that I've ever met. I had meetings with them. I had to collaborate with them. And just a few days ago, I sat with 3 of the, most tremendous marketers that I've ever met and worked with. And one has had his own ad agency for decades, and the stories that he's able to tell and shared with me from the beginnings was phenomenal. And just one of them's another one who I don't want to spoil the surprise, is going to be recording a podcast with me in the next couple of weeks. But that's how, besides the earning more than I've ever earned, when I worked for corporate, that even more so, I get to hang out with these people every day. I get to learn from these people every day. And that's the key right there, is I get to learn something new every day. I get to push myself every day. I'm recording this at 3:38 on a Saturday afternoon. There's nothing that I would rather be doing right now than recording my first podcast and on video right now. And it's just tremendous. I am that lucky, and to me, having that freedom to do what I want to do and love what I'm doing, and being passionate about it is a hell of a lot better than working 40 hours a week for somebody. So, and if I can do it, I know you can do it. I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the most brilliant guy. I don't come up with the most unique ideas. The only thing that I got in my favor is I'm willing to work more than probably most people out there. So, and in closing, I'm not going to get too much into that email because I don't want to get in trouble. But there was an email from a past and maybe potential client, and long story short, they wanted me to kind of do something that maybe wasn't the most. How could I skirt around this? I don't know. Just wasn't the best thing, best interest in anybody's behalf, and they kind of threatened me with, and I took it as a threat. They kind of threatened me as well. If you want any future work from us, and that's not. I get to make that decision now. I get to make the decision whether I want to work with you or not. So it kind of came full circle. It's like basically they're telling me, well, if you want us, or if you're going to be in our path to success, I don't need to be in that path. So this podcast is going to be very raw. It's going to be unedited. It's going to be fast and furious. We are not going to have any edits on this podcast. We're not going to cut anything out or bleep anything or kind of, fluff things up. It's going to be one cut, and whatever happens. If the language sometimes gets to, it's just going to be real. Let's just put it that way. I'm not, horrible in, my language, but some of the people I may have on might be, and if it's real, it's real. And we're going to create it about as comfortable setting as we can, in this podcast as well. And I want to show you the real people. I want to be authentic, and I want to inspire you. And I want to show you that, look, today I'm wearing a t-shirt and a ball cap, and, this is it. This is what entrepreneurship's all about. It's not about those Instagram profiles where people are like doing the little shaky thing with their money, and it's not stacks of hundreds on the bed. It's hard work, and it's perseverance, and it's a lot of blood and sweat, and takes a sick sense of humor sometimes, but it gets you through. So I do want to thank you for listening all the way through, and I'm going to thank you for listening to our future podcasts with the phenomenal guests that I will have. You can reach me at Shawn, SHAWN, at CMG Social Media. That's Campbell Marketing Group's social media, but it's just initials, cmgsocialmedia.com. I just opened up an Instagram page for this podcast specifically. It's at the Shawn Campbell Show, and you'll see a lot of behind the scenes stuff on my the new Instagram page as well. I look forward to it, and I look forward to your comments. I look forward to your suggestions. I look forward to your feedback. This is going to be a phenomenal show, and I'm going to thank everybody ahead of time. It's going to help me through this. Appreciate it, and until next time, I don't have a cool little outro yet, but I'll have one by my next episode. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to The Shawn Campbell Show. Follow us on Instagram at The Shawn Campbell Show.